Welcome friends to another r/malicious compliance video. We've got some awesome stories today, and our first one's from Fed Up Cat. Do the math. Okay, I think I will. A little background for clarity. I have a typical sense of humor. I can be literal, sarcastic, twist someone's words around to mean something else, or tell a true story in a humorous way. In general, I can usually find the humor in almost anything. For example, an overseas friend from an online chat forum didn't understand what I meant when I said that my mother didn't have neighbors, since he lives in an area of Finland that's heavily populated, and wanted me to take pictures of my mom's neighbors the next time I went to visit. So I took pictures of my mom with her neighbors, 4 cows, 2 goats, a donkey, and a goose. Anyway, I live in a town that's struggling a bit from the 2 back-to-back hurricanes in 2020. Apparently my town's not important enough to the state for them to worry about us, but I digress. As a result, housing, what little there is in a livable condition, is at a premium, as you can imagine. I'm also on a group for the town through social media where the residents post about where to get help with finding honest, legitimate contractors, housing, businesses that are still open, recommending places to eat, etc. Or they just chit-chat and share pictures. The story: a local landlady/real estate agent posted an advertisement for her studio apartment for rent and included several pictures. It was one long, narrow room that ended with the enclosed bathroom. The only amenities were a mini fridge, a small microwave, a coffee maker, a small dresser, toaster, oven, love seat, coffee table, and queen-sized bed. The place was tiny. One piece of furniture ended just inches from the next piece of furniture. The microwave and toaster oven were on top of the dresser that was in front of the coffee table, leaving just enough room to walk through at the front door, and the coffee maker was on top of the mini fridge that was butted up against the dresser. You get the idea. All of this for $650 a month, and important to the story. Once the landlady posted the advertisement and series of photos, the typical butt-kissing post started. Random poster 1 said, "Oh landlady, it's so cute." Random poster 2 said, "Aw, y'all did such a good job remodeling it." Random poster 3 said, "If I didn't already have an apartment, I'd rent it." The 4th said, "Wow, just wow." And the 5th said, "Love the beautiful furnishings. Are they antiques?" The whole time I'm reading these butt-kissing comments, I'm playing a stand-up comedy show in my head. Wow, the secondhand store must have moved up the inventory ladder. I'm going to have to remember that if I put up curtains, wax the floor, and get new to me antique, cough cough, furniture from Goodwill, I can call myself a remodeler. Yeah, lady, I bet you'd choose this apartment over one that has a stove. Insert eye roll. Now keep in mind, I have not said one word publicly and didn't intend to. What was going on in my head was for my own private entertainment. Until one guy said, "Hey, where's the kitchen?" My sarcastic self burst out laughing. I found this comment to be funny as heck since it was very obvious from the photos that there was no kitchen. Also, in no way did I take the guy's question as being truly a serious question. I took it as rhetorical and sarcastic. He was just poking a little fun. I, on the other hand, was also stating the same observation/fact by using a comparison. It's the English teacher in me. I reply, "It's like a hotel room, except you get a toaster oven." I didn't even put LOL after it. Proud of myself. The landlady went ballistic and online caps lock screamed at me, or maybe that's just the way she spoke to everyone. Or her caps lock key was stuck. Who knows? The landlady said, "Hotel rooms are $100 a night, but a room as nice as mine would be $140 a night. Do the math." My heart began to pound as I'm really a soft-hearted person, and I don't like hurting people's feelings. At least not until provoked. So, my first instinct was to apologize for the misunderstanding and explain that I was only answering the guy's rhetorical question about the kitchen by comparing the apartment to a hotel room, thereby making her apartment superior to the hotel room by way of the toaster oven that hotel rooms don't have. Whew, that was a really long sentence, sorry. Instead, I reread her comment a second and a third time. That's when I decided to comply with landlady's request. The malicious compliance. I'll admit it, after my initial regret, I took her post as a challenge. So I figured if I'm going to be screamed at, even online, I might as well enjoy it. I certainly wasn't in the mood for butt kissing, plus I was a little pissed at being screamed at. I said, okay, let's do it. A $140 a night hotel room, 140 times 30 days, giving the renter 1 free night 7 months out of the year, would equal $4,200 a month. Let's knock off $200 a month as a discount for the extended stay, and another $100 a month as a thank you for paying the rent by the month rather than by the week or by the day. That's still $3,900 a month. The hotel includes a coffee pot, microwave, dresser with a large mirror, mini fridge, dining table with 2 to 4 chairs, 2 nightstands, TV, internet, local phone, cable TV, water, electricity, on-site laundry, towels, soap, toilet paper, fresh linens, daily, weekly, or something in between depending on your preference, pool, and maid service. Some even have an attached or an in-house restaurant. Now, you're renting for $650 per month. So $650 divided 30 days equals approximately $21.67 per night, also giving the renter 1 free day for 7 months of the year. So I admit that I was wrong about your studio apartment. It's like a cheap hotel room with a toaster oven. Oh yeah, that set her off. I knew full well that it would, and I no longer cared. Harsh of me, I know, not exactly my best moment, but hey, she challenged me, not the other way around. She posted 3 times back-to-back in rapid fire, like she was wanting to get it all out in a hurry to make sure I couldn't say anything back, or wouldn't leave until she was finished with her tirade. She says, "How dare you? I put in a lot of hard work doing the remodeling on this unit. It's one of the best apartments in town." My mental commentary said, "No, it really isn't. The best studio apartments in town are going for $800 to $900 a month and have a small kitchen with full-size fridge, stove, 3 to 4 counters with matching upper cabinets, and enough room for a small 2 to 4 chair dining table." The landlady says, "You don't know me or my apartment. Why are you even posting? If you don't need a place to live, mind your own business. You don't belong here." More mental commentary saying, "Sigh, this social media group is not for landlords or real estate agents only to place ads, nor only for people looking for housing." She says anyone, and I mean anyone who needs a place to live would be lucky to have this apartment, and they'd be grateful to me to have it. The last mental commentary, I promise, said, "Most people have moved back into their repaired homes or apartments, and some people who lived here before the storms are now living in houses and apartments in other towns or other states. Those who are still in town and need housing are those who are either low income or flat out destitute. $650 a month is a bit too much for them. Yes, they would be grateful to have a roof over their heads, if only they could afford it." I said, "Lady, first of all, I wasn't speaking to you. I was engaging in lighthearted banter with the guy. Nothing that he or I said was untrue. Secondly, I mean, come on. You cannot tell me to do the math and then get all offended and angry when I do the math." Group members began posting after having stayed quiet before. They were telling her that I was right or that she was wrong, or making fun of her, or telling me I'm funny, or teasing the guy about starting a cat fight, etc. I guess she took serious offense, as the landlady left the group without another word. Am I heartbroken about that? Nope. Can you hear me now? LOL. You know, some people just don't have any sense of humor, or they can only laugh at others and not at themselves. Therefore, it's my job to do it for them. A lot of what OP did here kind of resonates with me. Like if I saw some advertisement for a house that has like really not up to snuff standards for $650 a month, I would be pretty soft-hearted like OP was too, and like I wouldn't want to call him out on it and be like a jerk. It's just not worth it at that, and they're not probably going to get any business. I'd almost feel bad for the person trying to rent this place out because they're clearly not going to get any tenants doing that. If you're scrolling along in a public forum like that and somebody's advertising something way overpriced, would you call them out on it? Would you have any issue calling them out on it? Or would you just leave it and keep moving along? Let me know what you would do in the comments down below. Our next story is from All Names Are Taken 467. Put my food in this bag right now. About a decade ago, I was in a McDonald's. I had ordered and paid and was just waiting for my food near the pickup counter. In walked a man with a serious case of main character syndrome. He placed his order, then stood directly against the pickup counter. Shortly after, my food came out, and yes, they called out my order number. He quickly snatched it up, then looked in the bag and noticed it wasn't the right food. Since there was no chance that he could have made a mistake, he started to complain, yelling that they gave him the wrong food. He insisted they put his food in the bag right away. With the joy of someone who doesn't get paid enough for this crap, they gladly obliged. Taking the bag back, They quickly piled all of his food right on top of mine. The toxic levels of smug emanating from the man dissipated as the employee turned and handed me the bag. "I'm sorry, sir. This bag wasn't your order. It was his. Mine. Your order will be just a few more minutes as we need to remake it." This is definitely one of those situations where it's just the curtains pulled back and that behavior just shows they do not get paid enough to care. And honestly, you can't really blame them. Main character syndrome is a really good way to describe this kind of guy who walks into the store, expects their food to be the first thing up, grabs whatever is just sitting there expecting it's theirs. You can't like anybody that acts like that. And our final story of the day is by Goth Angel Blood. Want me to make my quota? Hope you like crossdressers. Once upon a time, in order to make ends meet during uni, I took a job working at a bridal shop. This shop involved mostly walk-ins who would buy dresses directly off the rack. If you're from the States, you probably know the one I'm talking about. When I took the job, it was explained to me that a majority of my salary was commission-based. That didn't bother me because even the base pay was decent at the time. Besides, the lowest financial band to qualify for commission required me to sell 10 dresses a week. Easy. During my initial interview, I explained to my manager that I would need to get off work at 3 p.m. on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays to attend all my classes. Now, if you've ever worked at a retail job at all, you know that the daytime hours Monday through Thursday, as well as those evening hours, tend to be very low volume. The majority of all sales are made Friday through Sunday, with the casual shoppers coming in on Saturday and the serious shoppers coming in on Sunday. Therefore, my manager had no problem with my needing those nights off every week. My schedule was set as Wednesday, Thursday, Friday during the day, as well as all day Saturday and Sunday. However, within 2 weeks of being there, it became apparent that one of the older women I worked with did have a problem with my schedule. She disliked working the weekday evenings and days because those hours didn't typically result in sales. Instead, most of our time was spent cleaning and restocking inventory. At first, it started as a few nasty comments here and there on the floor. Then she started borrowing items from my bridal drawer. Belly bumps, pins, hair ties, tissues, cough drops. Eventually, she started telling the hostess to remove my name from the incoming bride inventory, claiming I was busy with another client when I was not. The final straw came when she had to work one of my daytime shifts. I was studying for an exam, and one of my high-dollar brides came in. Instead of ringing the sale with my name as the consultant as per policy, the computer automatically registers who's the consultant. She removed my name and put her name as the consultant instead. That one sale was over $200 in commission. I was livid. Of course, I brought it up to my manager, and that did not go as planned. Because the other consultant had more seniority than I did, my manager flipped the tables on me and claimed that maybe if I pulled my weight and pushed through more in sales, I wouldn't be in this position. Apparently, my refusal to take evening shifts during the week was upsetting to other consultants because they had to work those low-volume hours. What the freak? I was doing all the daytime shifts. Manager started badgering me that I needed to find a way to pull in more business for the bridal shop and close more sales, or she would demote me to a stockroom employee. Okay, want me to bring in more business? Game on. Now, I knew from my previous interactions in the shop that both my manager and this consultant took moral issue with anyone associated with the Alphabet Mafia, LGBTQ+. For instance, we had a lesbian couple come in once looking for 2 wedding gowns, and the manager made them so uncomfortable with her religious talk that both brides left. Another time, the consultant had refused to dress a male in a prom gown because it was an atrocity and disgusted her. I, however, didn't give a darn what you were doing with your merchandise after you purchased it, and I had a lot of friends in the Alphabet Mafia. I immediately called one of my good friends, who was a well-known local drag queen, and asked him if he knew anyone in need of a special occasion gown. I offered special consultations, complete with bra fittings, during the daytime hours I worked. The first day, 3 drag queens showed up. The next, it was 4. Saturday involved 5 drag queens, 3 lesbian brides, and a few flamboyantly gay men there for support. It may have gotten out of hand on Sunday when a whole van of drag queens drove in from over an hour away just to see me and start a ruckus with the religious nuts in the store. I had to take half of the salons to dress them, and I made a huge amount in commission that week. The next week, a good number of my clientele continued to come into the shop, always insisting on me and demanded I be listed as their consultant. The manager was ticked, and the other consultant was disgusted. But what could they really do? All my manager asked me to do was increase my sales, which I had done in spades. I ultimately left just a few weeks later, which was planned, as I had graduated and taken a professorship at a state school some hours away. But I did learn from the assistant manager at the store that the Alphabet Mafia continued to flamboyantly frequent that store for their bridal and formal wear needs until it ultimately closed down 6 months later. Remember to tip your waitresses, and don't ever piss off the drag queens. All I know is if there was one clientele you would love to appeal to as a clothing store, it would be anybody doing drag. The amount of fabric and clothing and accessories that drag queens buy, I think, is pretty high. Maybe they closed down 6 months later because they were hateful people that would rather make a sizable amount of clientele uncomfortable and not want to go there. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel, and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.